Many people are aware of the concept of revenge porn. A typical situation is where an individual uploads or distributes private sexual images of a former partner to get revenge. The increasing use of the internet and smartphones over the last decade has seen a rise in this kind of offending behaviour. In April 2015, the Criminal Justice and Courts Act created a specific offence of revenge porn. It became an offence to disclose private sexual photographs and film without the permission of the individual who appears in the photograph or film with intent to cause distress. However, that offence of revenge porn was repealed by virtue of the Online Safety Act 2023, which came into force at the end of January 2024, as new offences were created to try and more adequately deal with the rise of such offences. The old revenge porn offence is available for those offences committed prior to the 31st of January 2024. For offences committed after 31st of January 2024, 4 new offences have been created. These new offences are intended to address activity, including so-called deepfake images and downblousing. The old revenge porn offence remains available for offences committed on or after 13th of April 2015 and prior to the 31st of January 2024. This was initially limited to offences of actually disclosing, but the offence was extended in 2021 to include threatening to disclose private photographs or film. The old offence is committed where a person discloses or threatens to disclose a private sexual photograph or film in which another individual appears, and by so doing, that person intends to cause distress to that individual, and the disclosure is or would be made without the consent of that individual. No offence is committed if the photograph or film is disclosed to the person who appears in it. The offence applies to any form of disclosure of private sexual photographs or film, for example, by uploading an image, sharing over text or email, or by physically showing someone in person. The offence applies only where a photograph or film is of a private sexual nature originally, and the offence is not established if a film or photograph has become private and sexual only due to alteration or combination, or if the intended victim is depicted in a sexual way only due to alteration. Essentially, the person depicted in the film or photograph must not have wanted that to be shared. It's also a criminal offence to threaten to share the material. If there was no intent to cause distress, for example, the person sharing the image just thought it was funny, then under the old legislation, an offence will not be committed. The content being shared must be of a sexual nature and private, so not something ordinarily seen by the public. There are a number of defences available to the new offences where the photograph or film was taken in a place to which the public had access, that the individual shown in the photograph had no expectation of privacy, or was in an intimate state voluntarily. A further defence would be where the individual disclosing the photograph had held a reasonable belief that the photograph or film had been previously publicly shared, or that the individual depicted had previously consented to the previous sharing. The new revenge porn offences are either way offences. This means that they can be dealt with in the Magistrates' Court or the Crown Court. They carry a maximum penalty of up to 2 years imprisonment or an unlimited fine. However, this does not automatically mean that an individual convicted of such offences would go to prison. A court could choose to sentence an individual for revenge porn with a community penalty instead, or sometimes a suspended sentence. A person convicted of these offences may also become subject to notification requirements known as being on the sex offenders register. An intimate state is defined in the legislation as a photograph or film that shows or appears to show a person engaging in an act which a reasonable person would consider to be a sexual act. A person is doing something which a reasonable person would consider to be sexual. At the investigation stage, Olliers can communicate with the police on your behalf. We can prepare representations in relation to either mitigation if the offence is admitted or setting out your case if the offence is denied. If you are charged with this offence, we can represent you at court with one of our specialist solicitors presenting your case. We will advise you on the strength of the evidence and the sentencing guidelines in the context of your case. If you are entering a guilty plea, we will do our very best to ensure you receive the lowest sentence possible. If you are entering a not guilty plea, we will put forward your case to the court, ensuring you have the best chance possible of the desired outcome. Contact us at Olliers to arrange advice and representation in relation to allegations of revenge porn or disclosing intimate photographs.